In the early 1900s, the homes in Sale Creek were framed constructions and lacked insulation in the walls. The wood used to build the houses came from the landowner's property. The residents used large stoves or fireplaces for heating or cooking, therefore the need for coal and wood was essential. It was usually the kids' responsibility to bring in the coal and firewood. Slab Town, which was once a very poor section of the community, was a neighborhood with houses made of slab lumber from a nearby sawmill. Its residents consisted mainly of coal miners. The water supply for the homes in Sale Creek came from dug wells, springs, creeks, or the Tennessee River. Country life in Sale Creek required hard labor from every member in the family. At dawn's rising, the farming family began their daily chores of milking cows. The women and children would also spend countless hours churning butter. Refrigerators were not available in the early 1900s. Consequently, spring houses were constructed over springs so that the cold water could flow over containers with stored items such as milk and butter. The most popular spring in Sale Creek were the Blue Spring and the Patterson Spring. Ice boxes were another way to keep the food cold. An iceman would deliver ice to the people who used ice boxes. Indoor plumbing also did not exist, so bathing took place in a wash tub with water that was warmed by fire. The families would make their own soaps for bathing. Johnny houses, which were outside toilets, were essential for every household. The only other option was a small white bucket known as a chamber pot. Reluctantly, family members would have to empty the pot each morning. Due to the lack of electricity, families used candles and kerosene lamps to light their homes. Each year, families would make their own candles from tallow wax and lard renderings from their slaughtered hogs. Some Sale Creek families used a Delaco for lighting, which was ran by a generator.
Automobiles began to gain popularity in the early 1900s. Will List holds the distinction of having the first car in the town. These first automobiles were better suited for flatline driving than for the steep hills in Sale Creek. The cars would even try to get a running shot to get over the hill, but many times would not succeed because the carburetors were gravity fed. Not to be outdone by a piece of machinery, the driver would turn the car around and back up the hill. Around 1916, W.L. Coulter bought two of the first buses and started the first bus line from Sale Creek to Chattanooga. The doors opened in the back, requiring the driver to get out of his seat and open the door. The early buses had no heat, so winter rides to Chattanooga were a really cold adventure. During the 3-year period that Coulter operated his bus line, a concrete highway was built stretching from Soddy Daisy to Ray County. Later, in 1929, a new Dayton Pike was constructed, straightening out some of the curves. Bear matches and turkey fights became very popular in the 1920s. Another entertainment is when one of the boys was there to fight the biggest turkey and he followed through. He won most of the matches with the turkey, and soon people started to pay to see it. Many people liked to go fishing or hunting. Some people found it very relaxing. People brought home fish for their family. Young boys used a very familiar method known as thunder blasting. Boys would find a spot with a lot of fish. They would then take a large rock and throw it on the other rock. Then all the dead fish would float to the surface. Sometimes when a boy did this, all they would get was a rattlesnake. Men and boys liked to go hunting because they found it very rewarding. People felt they needed to make it rewarding. The animals they hunted were quail, rabbits, squirrels, raccoons, and possums. Most of the hunters did not even use guns because most men used rocks. There was known to be a lot of good rock throwers in Sale Creek. During the holidays like the 4th of July, farmers could take a day off their work in farming for a whole day. Many families couldn't afford to take a day off, so they would just take half of a day to either go out to eat ice cream or to buy some at the store. A family might fire off the old shotgun to celebrate this event. People say Election Day was somewhat fun and sometimes like a holiday.